Howdy y'all, this is the Losman, and it is that time of the week for my Lazy Sunday Roundup. Yeah, today is a very tough day for me. I just spent the past weekend at a comic convention in my hometown. It's called the Big Texas Comic Con, and man, I volunteered for the whole weekend, so I am exhausted. Wow, I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, when you volunteer, you do a lot of time, a lot of little tasks here and there, and they pretty much put us to work. I mean, it was fun though. It was entertaining. I got to meet some celebrities, got to see some really good cosplay, and met a great group of people that I look forward to seeing again in the future. You know, as friends or just people to hang out with. You know, at future conventions or future events. So, today is Sunday, and it is 39 days to Halloween, which means that we are about 5.5 weeks away from Halloween, the big event. Yay! So that gives you plenty of time to get ready. You know, start decorating your houses. You know, putting the lights up, getting Halloween treats. You know, putting together a costume, and more importantly, getting a good list of movies together to watch for Halloween. Because after all, tis the season to be frightening. All right, so like I said, I was at the Big Texas Comic Con. Now, was the first year for the event, so you know it was a modest event, but not too bad. You know, basically they had a good number of celebrity guests, including people from The Walking Dead, as well as the Sons of Anarchy. They had some of the original Power Rangers, and they had a number of voice and comic book artists out there to basically help round out the crowd. Oh, they also had some three members of the Office, which was pretty fun meeting them because you know Office is a great show. As a non horror shows go. Now the big person I met was Ron Perlman, who you know if you're a fan of horror or just generally any kind of fandom, you know that Ron Perlman has had quite an extensive career going all the way back to probably the 1980s and. You know, because I remember he was in Ice Pirates, which was funny because when I mentioned Ice Pirates, I told him, this is hilarious. I said to him, "Wow, I forgot you were in Ice Pirates." And his response, and I kid you not, was, "Wow, so did I." I thought that was hilarious, you know, because I mean he's been in so many movies. Sometimes he probably forgets which ones he's been in. Now he was also in, you know, of course, a lot of good movies that many of y'all have seen, including Hellboy, Beauty and the Beast. He was in the TV show The Sons of Anarchy, and he was in Blade as well as Alien Resurrection. So he's been in quite a number of movies, and I've seen quite a number. I mean, I've seen a lot of his movies. I did mention how one of my favorites was a movie called Kronos, which is an early vampire movie from the 1990s. That's directed by Guillermo del Toro. That's Guillermo del Toro's first movie. So if you want to check it out, it's worth seeking out. It's a damn good movie. I mean, it's really different than what you would expect from a vampire movie. So I got a nice little autograph picture here of of Ron Perlman, and I made sure to get one that had uh, it had Abe Sapien in it because one of these days I hope to meet Doug Jones. You know, get him to autograph it, which would be pretty cool. Selma Blair would be great too, but I know Selma Blair is going through some health issues. But if she does manage to get some convention circuits out there, it'll be great to get her signatures. She was really good in her role. I mean that's a really good movie. I didn't see the recent one. I hear it wasn't that great, but you know the Hellboy 1 and 2 were awesome. Now some of the other people I met, I'm on the docket here. I met one of the cast members of the movie It, a young actor by the name of Jackson Robert Scott. He's a young actor. He just turned 11 years old, which, yeah, last week, you know, I wished him a happy birthday. He appeared in a couple of notable movies this year, recently in this year. Of course, he was in It. He played Georgie, the little brother who gets, you know, murdered by Pennywise, which gets, you know, the action rolling in the movie. And he also appeared in the sequel in flashback sequences, you know, because they do reference his little brother in there. Now, another movie that he was in at the beginning of the year, and this is one that I noted with him, or mentioned to him, was a movie called The Prodigy. Now, that movie starred Taylor Schilling as his mother, and it was a movie that was kind of like a remake of The Bad Seed and maybe a little bit of The Good Son along with The Omen. You know, you have a mother who gives birth to a child who she thinks is gifted, but it turns out that the kid is well, kid's evil, but I'm not going to explain why, but let's just say it's a bad kid movie, and he did a really good job. Damn, that kid is creepy in here. So I made sure to get a nice little autograph picture from the Prodigy because I thought that was pretty cool. He had photos from it, but I thought that would be a little cooler because it's a little different. What I did have him autographed for me though is I had this nice little pop doll here. Hold on, let's open up. And this is it's a George Denbrough little pop figure, Georgie, and he signed it in the front, and he also put you'll float too. So yeah, this is real popular. At the comic convention, I saw a lot of people getting this signed, and you also had the one with Pennywise in the gutter, talking to him, which I thought was pretty cool. That would be a nice little set to get maybe in the future. Now there was a lot of good cosplay, like I mentioned. A lot of people were dressed up as Pennywise, and you even had some people dressed up as Georgie, with the raincoat and the missing arm and the little paper boat, which is fun. Cosplay is awesome. It's great when you see people put costumes together, and it's not just merely Halloween costumes, because people sometimes put something simple together, which is fine. Throw it together, but you really see the work that people put into their costumes, especially female cosplayers. They really go out there with their costuming. Which, if you ever get a chance to visit a comic book convention or a sci-fi convention or horror convention or anything like that, and you see the cosplay, one of the number one rules to remember, and this is very important: don't touch them. If you want to get a photo with them, ask them nicely. Compliment their outfit. Say, hey, can I get a picture with you? What I usually do is I just get a picture of them by themselves. I don't usually take pictures next to a cosplayer who's female because I just don't think it's appropriate, or at least I like the costume, and I appreciate it, but me in there, yeah, you don't want to see me in that picture. And occasionally I'll do it, but because I was working as a volunteer in this event, I decided I wasn't going to appear in photos with female cosplayers anyway. And that being said, if you do decide you want to stand next to a female cosplayer, the best thing you do is keep your hands to yourself. Put them down on your side, kind of cross them on your front, put them in your back. Don't put your arm around them. Or especially don't put your arm around their waist. It's kind of creepy and weird, and you don't want to discourage these young women from doing this, because a lot of them, they put these costumes together, and they are, a lot of these costumes are beautiful. They're sexy, they're wonderful, but you don't want to discourage them. You don't want them going home thinking this was a big mistake. You want to encourage them and, and compliment them on their works. And believe me, there was some really good cosplay going on, and of course, some of it was a little sexy, a little over the top for a family event, but there wasn't anything too bad. There was a girl dressed up as a Playboy bunny, but she was basically wearing like a one-piece bathing suit type outfit, so with some spandex and high heels. I don't know how women can wear high heels, especially when you have to do all that walking, but no, like I said, there was some great costuming. Now what I will probably do is I'll probably put some links on my Twitter page with some of the photos I took from there, some of the cosplayers, because there's some good costumes out there. All right, so other autographs that I did get, I met two of the cast members of The Walking Dead. The first one is Alana Masterson, and I got an autograph picture with her. Tara, pretty awesome. I also met Austin Emilio, who plays Dwight. Now, I actually didn't get a chance to talk to them too much, though, because I was working as a volunteer, like I said. I got to just shake hands with them and wish them well, when they were doing their, when they were doing their chat, or sorry, their panel discussion. Sorry, panel discussion. Kind of tired here, but yeah, it was great. The panel was good. Had a good crowd. People were really excited for it, and it's pretty cool. I do know that Austin Emilio is on the Fear the Walking Dead now, so he's no longer on The Walking Dead. And as for Alana Masterson, well, kind of have to watch and see what happened. I also met a few other people I met Phil Lamar, comic voice actor. What was funny was as I was basically standing by his booth helping with a line, I was trying to figure out where have I seen him before, because there's some cartoons I watch and not a lot. I'm looking at this picture here. It looks like he's Samurai Jack. Obviously, I don't watch Samurai Jack, but I know it's a pretty big character. And it looks like he also is he's one of the Green Lanterns, which is pretty cool because I saw some good Green Lantern cosplay this weekend. He is also a character on Futurama, and I was surprised to find out that he was an actor who was also in Pulp Fiction, because I saw he had it listed on his banner, and I said Pulp Fiction. I was like, you played Marvin. Sure enough, he did. He plays Marvin, and if you've ever seen Pulp Fiction, you'll remember Marvin, or who Marvin was, or at least you'll remember until the big event, which basically makes up a good portion of the last part of the movie. You know, and it does involve Marvin in some way, which, yeah, I don't have to say any further. Now, the rest of the events that occurred there, you know, you had a lot of vendors out there selling some pretty neat stuff. I mean, there was some good merchandise to be had, and and of course, you had the panel discussions. You know, I got to meet the little actors. What was funny, especially about Jackson Robert Scott, it was so hilarious. At one point, I saw him moonwalking. It was hilarious. And a little 11-year-old kid doing the moonwalking. And, you know, he's a kid. You know, his little sister was there, too. So, you know, when they weren't, you know, signing autographs or taking photos, you know, they were kind of, you know, acting like kids, you know, having fun. I think the lady who was in charge of their booth was kind of like their babysitter by proxy. So, you know, but I mean, he's a good kid. And, you know, I congratulate him on his work, because those roles he did were pretty good roles. And, you know, these aren't easy tasks, especially given that, you know, it is a scary movie. I mean, it's terrifying. I mean, I will tell you this. When I was at his booth, there was a little girl, and the parents were like, look, it's the little boy from the It movie. And the little girl did not want to get any closer. She was so afraid that Pennywise was hiding, you know, behind the table, which got me thinking, don't take your kids to scary movies. I mean, if you've got a 3 or 4-year-old kid, get a babysitter. I mean, I know people love horror movies. They want to go see them, which is great. And hey, I'm all for that. Kids, on the other hand, don't need to be exposed to that. Or at least not like that movie. I mean, Jesus. I mean, oh, guys. I just, you know what? Get a babysitter. Seriously. Your little kid does not need to be exposed to that kind of terror at that age. I mean, if you want to introduce them a little later, that's fine. But I mean, nightmares, people, and then you're going to wonder why your kid has a complex growing up, you know? Now, of course, I grew up with horror movies, you know, but, you know, I'm a Losman. I'm a little out there anyway. All right. Okay. Also, this week, I didn't get too many movies watched because of the events that were going on. I was basically occupied with a lot of the activities involving the Texas, Comic-Con that I was at. So the two movies I did watch, one of them was called Pledge. Now, Pledge is a recent movie. It concerns a group of nerdy guys in college who try to pledge a fraternity. Of course, you know, they're not the material that fraternities are looking for, but they get invited by a beautiful young lady to come to a party being held by a social club, kind of like a Skull and Bones type group. And let's just say the events get deadly, because, you know, this is, you know, these secret societies, you know, they mean business. So it was an interesting little movie. It does have a twist, which you do kind of figure out, but it was a pretty violent movie, you know, just really, really disturbing, you know, in some sequences, you know, especially given the fact that you actually might see events like this happen. I mean, some of these secret societies can, you know, I mean, they want to keep their secrets, you know. We don't know what they do, and they want to keep secret. You know, you don't know what they're involved with, you know. Well, at least we don't want to say, you know. All right. The other movie I watched was a movie called Head Count. Now, this is a small movie. I found it on the streaming services, and it was an interesting plot. You had a young man visiting his estranged brother who lives out in the desert, but instead of spending time with him, he meets a group of other college students and decides to hang out with them. Well, in the course of their partying, drinking, smoking, you know, having sex with, you know, strangers, they play they sit around the campfire and they tell scary stories. Well, one of them happens to be a legend similar to Candyman or Bloody Mary, where he says a word 5 times and he ends up summoning an evil presence. And basically the events of the movie, or the rest of the movie, you know, play out little by little as little changes occur. And I'm not going to explain what kind of changes they are, but let's just say the movie Head Count kind of, like, you know, has a pretty appropriate title, you know. So that's definitely a movie you might want to check out, you know. It's actually not too bad. I was kind of surprised by the premise. I was like, ooh, that's a little different. Now, another thing I noticed this week was American Horror Story 1984 premiered. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about it, a lot of advertising, and that was a great episode. I mean, 1984. I was basically a 12-year-old in 1984. So that's the year when you had some good horror movies coming out, especially slashers set in summer camps. So you had this particular movie where you encounter, or it's actually not a movie, it's a TV show. You've got the cast basically going to a summer camp, and bad things begin to occur, especially given that the main character, who's played by Emma Roberts, is being stalked by a serial killer of notoriety, and you have a individual who escapes a mental institution who was in jail for murdering a large group of kids at the same camp that the actions are taking place in. So it's a pretty good pretty interesting premise. I mean, I like the episode. It what certainly looks like it's going to be a fun season. I mean, there's going to be throwbacks galore to the '80s. You know, the fashions. I mean, the show starts basically with women and men doing aerobics or robocize, whatever they call that word. But yeah, so basically, good-looking, scantily clad actors and actresses. Basically doing moves. And yeah, that got my attention quick. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do before I close out, the movie Three from Hell came out this week, and didn't quite do so well. It was only released in about 667 movies, or theaters, 667, weird, and made about $2 million, or almost $2 million. Didn't get good ratings. I know, yeah, and I know for horror movies, usually you just ignore the ratings, but sometimes the ratings are a good gauge. Because yeah, some horror movies are not that great, but I'll check it out. Because it is a Rob Zombie movie, and I'll hopefully give a better assessment once I do get a chance to watch it. Okay, so basically this is gonna call it quits for the night because I'm exhausted. And I still need to do a list for tonight. So I'm going to wish everyone a good night and a good week. And let's get ready for Halloween. Let's get some good movies on and enjoy some good scary movies. All right, later.